Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by a posting on the bulletin board in Village Hall, by mail to the Ridgewood News, the Record, and by submission to all persons entitled to same as provided by law of a schedule including the date and time of this meeting. Roll call.
Councilman Hache.
Here.
Councilman Seaton.
Here.
Councilman Voigt.
Here.
Councilwoman Walsh.
Here.
And Mayor Newton.
Here. Please rise for the flag salute.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please join us in observing a moment of silence honoring the men and women serving our nation, our first responders, and a moment of reflection for those who have suffered and died at the hands of senseless violence, especially our serving in line of duty, lost in the line of duty. Thank you. Great. Thank you. First, we'll start with our acceptance of financial reports. I move the bills, claims, and vouchers and statements of funds on hand as of June 30th, 2016 be accepted as submitted.
Second.
Roll call.
Hache.
Yes.
Seaton.
Yes.
Voigt.
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
And Newton.
Yes. We have no minutes and no proclamations, and so without further ado, we will be swearing in our new police chief, Jacqueline Letke. So, council members.
Ridgewood Police Department, according to the best of my ability, according to the best of my ability, so help me God, so help me God.
There we go. So this evening, we have a...
May I first?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Our former police chief, John Ward, here.
These are my stars, now they're your stars. Now, you can place with your hands, and it's your sheet.
This evening, we also have with us Bergen County freeholders, Maura Di Nicola and Thomas Sullivan, if you'll step up. Maura, would you want to come up, please? Yep, absolutely.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Freeholder Sullivan. We're here to present, along with Freeholder DiNicola, we're here to present the commendation to the new chief. Just want to say this is the second female that I've had the pleasure of presenting a proclamation to, a commendation. And as a father of 3 daughters, like I've told the first chief, you really make it easy to go home and tell your daughters that in today's society that anything's possible. And I want to thank you for that. Wonderful job. Thank you. I'm reading your bio, and it's too lengthy to read. But as I can see that you're very active in your community, you were born and raised here, you give back with youth programs, and these are the things that Maura and I may not be on the same side of the aisle, but we know we have to get along and get things done. And it's she still loves me, though. She does. But that's what it's all about. So I'm really proud. I'm really happy to be here tonight. I'm just going to read this real quick, and you can get on and celebrate. This is on behalf of the Bergen County Board of Chosen Freeholders, a certificate of commendation honoring Chief Jacqueline Lufke. Did I get it right? All right. I only heard it 5 times, right? In honor and recognition of your swearing in as the Chief of the Village of Ridgewood Police Department, presented July 20, 2016, and signed by the Bergen County Board of Chosen Freeholders. What an honor it is for Maura and I here to stand here and give this to you. Congratulations.
So we also have our Bergen County Freeholder Tracy Zurr is here as well. A little better late than never, but she's here, so thank you so much for being here.
We also, just from the Freeholder, we want to say thank you to the outgoing chief for a job well done. In a crazy world today, we appreciate everything that everyone in this room does here today. Thank you very much.
I just would like to say congratulations to the chief as well. As Freeholder Sullivan just said, there's nothing more important than celebrating our men and our women in blue. And having been the first woman mayor of Franklin Lakes, I know we still celebrate first, but we know that you are here because of your ability and your experience, and we look forward to your strong leadership in Ridgewood. And I had the honor of sitting next to someone who will never be outranked, however, your mother. Congratulations, Chief.
And as the chair of the Law and Public Safety Committee on the Board of Chosen Freeholders, also congratulations, but also know that we are all here to stand behind you, to support you, and to be here with you in any way that we can for you and for all the residents of Ridgewood. This is an amazing milestone. We love to see these glass ceilings broken, but these are, as my colleague said, trying times, and we are here 1,000% behind all of our men and women in blue. So thank you and congratulations.
So thank you, everyone. And really, again, this is a distinct honor and a privilege to be here with Jackie. So congratulations again. And now you just have to sign.
The only problem is the drawing sucks.
comments?
Not for an introduction. All you do is introduce and that's it. The comments are for the public hearing.
Okay.
I mean, unless somebody has public comments in the beginning.
Yeah.
Then, somebody might say something, but this
Yeah,
is...
no, I was thinking right here.
Yeah, then somebody might say something there, but, when they really get into it, that'll be August, 20th is our next public. So this is the introduction now, and then at that meeting, well...
August 20th?
No, our next work session is August 3rd. No, I think August 13th is the next work session, and then that's it for August. August 13th will be the next public, and the 3rd is the work session. He's been here for at least 7 years, I think. Yeah. I think Boyd's been.
Resume our meeting, so if we could just ask everyone who's not remaining in the room to just step outside so we can continue with our business here. Thank you. Thumbs up. It's good. Very good. Great. Very good. Great. So we'll resume in a moment. Let's look a minute. Usher everyone out the door. It's amazing how loud it is, right? You can't really continue.
Oh, we still have to do public comment.
Great. All right.
Public comment. Are we still doing public comment? Yeah, yes.
Okay, so we're going to continue with comments from the public, not to exceed 5 minutes per person. So, comments from the public.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, just state your name and address for the
Janet
record.
Daly, 386 Pondfield Place. My name is spelled D-A-L-Y, Janet D-A-L-Y. 386 Pondfield Place, that's P-O-N-F-I-E-L-D Place. I just want to say that I came here tonight because I am excited about the repeal of Ordinance 3066. I do not agree with this ordinance. I never think it should have been passed, and I'm really looking forward to your repealing it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Come on up.
Hi,
My name is Jerry Nitza. I'm from 361 Rugby Court in Ridgewood. And in
Sorry,
light of...
could I just have you repeat your address one more time?
Sure. 361 Rugby Court, Ridgewood. And in light of the world situation and everything, this is a very small matter, but I still felt that I wanted to come and talk to you all about it. It's about dog licensing. I've been paying my dog licensing fees on time since 1991, except for 2 years when I didn't have a dog. Can you hear me? Okay. And for the past 2 years, they do not send out reminders. So for the past 2 years, I did not send in my fee on time. Last year, I spoke with the department. I think they said they send email. We never got it. This year, July 7th, I find on my doorknob a notice. I didn't pay my fee on time. And it says that they have evidence that there is a dog on the premises and that my renewal is due, and to avoid any legal action, pay the fee. It wasn't warm and fuzzy, but I sent in my check right away. On the 13th, I guess they received it, and they send me a letter back, and it says that I had sent also, I said a reminder would have been nice. They said they only send reminders as a courtesy, and now they sent back the check, they didn't accept it. Now I have to pay a $20 late fee. Now, that's more than double the actual fee. This is not about money. I pay hundreds of dollars a month on my dog who has various ailments. I support animal causes. I want to support the dog licensing and rabies shots. However, I don't know, I felt that, okay, wait, my story continues. While I'm thinking about what I'm going to do, on the 19th, yesterday, I get this again. This means somebody actually drives to my house. Compare driving to my house twice with sending me a friendly reminder in May, which I would pay gladly. I don't like the tone particularly, but I can deal with that. By the way, I have paid the fine. Again, I paid the fee. All I'm asking is, can they send a friendly reminder in May? Also, I don't particularly use email. I'm able to, but I can bet you that there are older people who don't use email and rely on the mail, and they have pets, which is good for them. So that's why I'm here. It's a minor problem. It's not the money, it's the principle, and just wondering if the energy could be put in a bulk mailing before, instead of all this running around after collecting late fees. Also, is it a financial motive? They get more with the fines. Yeah, but they wouldn't do that. So I'm throwing it out. Did I use up my time? I'm sorry.
No, I think you have a minute.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Anything that could be done?
Yeah, so just, Roberta, real quick, I just wanted to ask a question.
I can't really hear you. It's hard to hear.
Yeah, I know, it's really...
You can't close we can't close the door.
You want me to close that? Or
So,
yeah.
Our notices now go strictly by email? Is that what I'm understanding?
Dawn's not here. I believe that's the case, and what we were going to do tomorrow, actually, is send out an e-notice reminding people about this. But if I could take down her information, we'll go look at this and look at the process.
But I think it's a really terrific point that even though somebody could use email, some folks just don't use email, and whether or not there's a system that we have in place to allow someone to continue to receive paper notifications.
There's also a form that you'd have to print out the form from your email. I don't have a printer in my house. Yeah, I'd be happy to explain what happened to me. And again, I'm happy to pay any fee regarding dogs.
Okay.
Yeah, and we'll take a look at it, because Dawn and I have been having a conversation about looking at this process in general, so we'll take a look at it.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Jim Griffith, and I live at 159 South Irving. And all I can say is, what a great way to start a council meeting. You should do this more often. That's great. And listen, to some of you at the council, I'm new. I wish you well. I saw your meeting last week, and you started with great enthusiasm, and I hope it lasts. I'm getting on in years, but I extend to you, if there's any way I can help you in the task involved, don't hesitate to ask, because other people haven't been shy at all. Okay? I would like to do is just give you a speech that I give at the start of all new councils, and that's about parking. To me, who have lived in town 54 years, I know the degree of the heartaches associated with the parking problem that we have. And because of this, I'm just asking if you could do me the favor by putting it on your agenda every week. And I was fortunate enough for the last couple of years to have it number one on the agenda. But I just want you to continue paying attention. I think on the Hudson Street, if I put my thoughts together, and by the way, recently the doctor told me I was age appropriate as far as remembering things. That the Hudson Street just needs a size, a vote, and you're ready to go. So I would like you to, if you can, to jump on that as soon as you can, and to remind you that all the studies said that the real problem is 1,200 parking spaces. So you must understand that Hudson Street is step one, and you can take your time worrying about steps 2, 3, and 4. I will give you a couple months, and I wish you well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is George Chabet. I live at 334 Lakeview Drive in Ridgewood, and I congratulate the council for its great win this past few months, and I look forward to your service. This is quite a challenging position that you've gotten yourselves into, and I'm here to solicit your support to restore Kings Pond Park to its intended use and conform to the recommendations that were made in the 2006 master plan of this village. All prior administrations since 2000 have done nothing to enhance or change the course of deterioration. I have talked to all of you at some point along the line. I find you all very talented, committed, and pleasant. So I don't want you to take any offense to my following comments. A little history. The dam at the pond was installed in 1968. It has eroded and has become very dangerous, and I notified the council in 1995 of the deteriorating situation and that it could result in some sort of lawsuit if anybody hurt themselves down there. It has continued to deteriorate so that it's partially collapsed today. The pond was last dredged in 1999. Currently, it is swamp-like, so something has to be done about it. The western shoreline has become overgrown with vegetation, and the access to the pond from any position is denied to anyone in the village. Councilman Volt and Hatch, I look forward to your fresh approach to this particular problem. I have nothing bad to say to you yet, but you're new, and I'm looking forward to the things that you mentioned when you were trying to get this position. Councilman Walsh, you're a repeat person on this
That's
council.
right.
From 2010 through 2014, you did nothing to resolve the problem at Kings Pond. For what I understand, your attention was directed to other ponds in the town, and so you share some of the responsibility.
You're
Hopefully, you've learned from that experience, and this current year, we should see some help in this area. The village manager, Roberta. When you became the new manager, my wife and I met with you early on because we saw new blood again, and we thought that we would see some improvement in the situation. And in part of that presentation, we supplied you with many aerial photographs of the area and showed how as it has deteriorated from 1995 to 2012, and then some more recent pictures that we sent you in 2014. So all those pictures were sent with the intent of showing you neglect. And what was the response? There has been nothing done at the pond since then. So it was very disappointing that as a new member and a woman in power in this particular decision, there has been no budgeting, there has been no engineering study, no permits have been submitted or attempted to be gotten, so consequently, everything remains static and continues to decline. Deputy Mayor Seaton, on October 16th in 2014, as a councilman, you and Councilman Hawk were assigned by the council to basically find ways and means to restore the pond. The result was a visit to the site by both of you, along with a reporter from the Ridgewood News and a photographer. It turned out to be a very good photo op, but resulted in no action. After that photo op, we haven't heard anything, seen anything, and so the place continues in disrepair. Who else do we have here?
Unfortunately, your time.
Mayor, I don't want to leave you out.
Unfortunately, your time is up, but I'll let you.
I only got another minute.
Go ahead. Go on ahead.
As part of the previous administration, you also must share in the deplorable condition. On a positive note, in January of this year, I sent all the council members, the previous ones, an email asking what they intended to do in 2016. To your credit, you are the only one who answered that email, and I quote you saying, "The village's obligation to ensure our parks are clean, safe, and accessible. Hopefully in 2016 will be the year King Ponds Park is restored. I hope you live up to that obligation."
I will tell you that I requested money in the budget for Kings Pond, and it was removed ultimately from the budget, I believe. So
Just as an aside, this is on our list and the Financial Advisory Committee for writing a grant for this. I know I talked to you about it before. That's our intention, is to look into this, and if you want to talk about this offline, I'm happy to do that. Okay?
That's fine. Now, just the last statement here.
Sure, go ahead.
Is I don't expect any response tonight because it would be too premature. What I would like is that by October or September, October, that someone contact me and say, this is our plan of which you apparently are starting on. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Thank you.
thank you.
Good evening. Jacqueline Home, 30 Carriage Lane. In October of last year, I filed a complaint with the Village Council, a complaint against our village manager and members of her staff. The complaint was for improper notice of meetings, and specifically the open space county grant applications dating back to 2008. False and misleading information. They were submitted without municipal endorsement and without public notification as required. Amongst other things, my complaint remains unanswered to this day. It was completely ignored. From that moment on, it became a brash pattern within our village, and this disregard for procedure and public involvement continued, including a video being produced by members of the village employees, the village manager, and some of her staff, which resulted in a lawsuit. I'm going to read again what I wrote to the village council when my complaint went unanswered. A citizen's complaint should not be viewed as a threat, but rather as an opportunity to dismiss wrongdoing and restore and gain public trust. As public servants, village manager and council have a fiduciary obligation to investigate citizens' complaints and afford the complaint due process. The complaint has a right to receive a panel decision with detailed explanation as to whether allegations are sustained, not sustained, deemed unfounded, or exonerated. Instead, upon receipt of my complaint, the mayor at the time inappropriately forwarded my complaint to the subjects involved in the allegation, village officials. Let me make my request specific and clear. With profound respect, my email, and again today, subject notice of complaint Village of Ridgewood, is a formal complaint filed with the council. With that email and me standing here today, I place the council on notice of wrongdoing and a cease and desist on all matters pertaining to Shedler property, etc. Furthermore, I asked for due process and protection from council. I'm requesting that someone look into not only that initial complaint, but then what has transpired since then, because numerous times we came up here month after month, week after week, reporting more things that were being done that would fall under the same category, and absolutely nothing has been done. So would this council, now that we're starting anew, look into that complaint? Is there an HR process within our village where citizens can come and file a complaint, and then what actually transpires after that time? Because I got absolutely no answer. Thank you.
So just let me say, I'm unclear if there's an official process, and I'll definitely look into it. I think I took the complaint very serious. I just want you to know that. I did ask a lot of questions of the village manager about the process and the procedures, and I do think, though, if I can find a mechanism for a formal review and to respond with a formal response, I think that's what we'll do. If you don't mind just allowing me the opportunity to get back to you either by the end of this week or the beginning of next week, once I figure out where that procedure is. It's just something unfamiliar to me at this time.
So in a couple of days, let's say the end of the week, I'd be given a response.
Right. If you don't hear from me, email me.
Okay.
You will hear from me, I promise.
And that would be a response if an HR procedure exists, and
whatever we determine is if there is a process, if there's not a process, whatever is in place for that, I'll look into it, I'll find out, and I will get back to you and let you know how we will proceed.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Saurabh Dani, 390 Bedford Road. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here to comment on two things. The first one is a resolution that you are voting today to dissolve Ridgewood's Construction Boards of Appeal. During the last week's council meeting, the main reason provided for this change was that it's difficult to find the members who want to serve on this board. That was the main reason given during the last week as why we should dissolve this board. And I'm here because a lot of other residents who were not able to come today because of the summer vacations and their other plans, and we have talked about it. And I'm just requesting that give it another chance, delay it until fall when more people are around, and maybe the council can help in finding qualified members when more people are in the town, and maybe there's somebody from the zoning board, somebody from the planning board, we have members on HPC, some of those members who are volunteers may qualify for those things. So give it another chance instead of just making a decision within a week. And if maybe council can help the building department and the village manager to find some qualified people, because there is a lot of new construction being proposed, and every time I talk to any contractors, their first reaction is, don't expect the Lodi rates or Garfield rates, because Ridgewood is different. Ridgewood, we have to go through all the proper permits and proper procedures, and the building department is strict, and they follow all the rules. So we want it to remain that way for the new apartments and new buildings. Otherwise, what happened in Englewood, the Edgewater with the apartment buildings, a lot of things can happen. So not every town's building codes are as strict as Ridgewood, and we are proud of that. When the inspectors come there, they do thorough checkup. So I'm just here to request that if you give it more time, and maybe we'll be able to find some people.
So great, Saurabh, thank you. Actually, we have, presently, we'll remove that from the consent agenda and are carrying that to the August 3rd work session for further discussion. Quite frankly, the Board of, or the Construction Board of Appeals was something totally new to me, and I think totally new to everyone up here, something I had never heard of in my years on the Board of Adjustment or Planning Board. So we're going to be carrying it so we can kind of get some more information and figure out how this really operates. And
Thank you very much.
Okay,
and
thank you.
My second point is about the Health Barn's quarterly report. In the section 5, where they have mentioned other concerns, they have mentioned two things. One is section 5, relevant issues, bullet number 2. Health Barn has complained in that their quarterly report about baseball teams parking in their rear parking lot. And I just wanted to bring up to your attention that they have currently 12 parking spaces in there as part of their lease. And when they bring in buses, those buses are being parked at Graydon. So, and that space is being given to them in addition to those 12 parking spots. So if a tenant is complaining that, hey, the baseball teams during travel season are using our 12 lots, are we charging them anything extra for these buses that are being parked at Graydon? And so, and if we do take an action on that complaint and put some mark there that, okay, only for Health Barn for those 12 spots, then maybe we should put for the other spots, no Health Barn parking, so that way baseball and other neighbors can park at those spots. So it has to be balanced. It cannot be that they only have 12, but they are already getting extra buses at Graydon. Because the parking of buses, is that allowed to any other business? Can landscapers use Graydon lot during the day to park? So how are the buses being allowed in addition to the 12 spots? And their other concern in that section 5 was they have complained about weekly garbage pickup. And this was being discussed online on social media, and somebody had commented that in Ridgewood businesses don't get garbage pickup. I'm not sure about the policy, but I just read that, so I wanted to question that. Is weekly garbage pickup only for residents, or do businesses also get that? I'm not aware of that, so I just wanted to bring that up because they mentioned as a complaint, and that if no other business gets it, then why are they getting garbage pickup as a business? Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to comment on the buses. The buses could actually be at Habernickel in the lot. It's allowed in the lease. But what we did in deference to the community is, because they didn't want to really see the buses, we said to the buses, go park at the PS&E&G right away by Graydon. We could easily reverse that, and we could have the buses parked there, and there's enough room. But we did it because of the residents. That's the only reason. Originally, the buses were supposed to be at Habernickel. As far as the sports teams go, there were some problems with the sports teams actually parking in the driveway. and not so much in the lot being the problem, but the driveway being the problem. So I just wanted to point that out, and.
But just to be clear, when the buses are there, because buses are just bigger, and they're parking in the lot, then is what you're suggesting?
Well, no, they're not. Today, we have them
No,
going
but
down.
I'm saying you're suggesting that rather
I'm suggesting that if the residents are saying now that they don't like the buses being at Graydon, we'll bring them back to Habernickel.
So
but-
what I'm asking is, if you were to allow the buses to park at Habernickel, then is that more space than the allocated already 12 parking spaces? And then how much more, and where would the buses then park?
Right. So if the buses were there, she still only has 12 spots. They would be in several of those spots, and we worked out how the buses would park there. But rather than do that at all, we moved the buses to Graydon so that they wouldn't be there.
So did we subtract those number of spots from her 12 spots?
When she has buses, she doesn't have the other classes going, I don't think. She just has the buses because it's the whole camp. So they don't really, if you look at the tapes and the videos, the lot is not that full most of the time. So.
And on the second point, the complaint or that quarterly report does mention rear parking lot. It does not just mention driveway.
It does it mentions driveway also.
But not just driveway. You just mentioned that it's only for driveway.
So what's happening is...
There's also rear parking lot, they are complaining.
Well, yeah, what was happening was the bus, as normal with some of these travel teams, when the travel teams come in, they sometimes take up the whole lot, and the 12 spaces that were allocated to Health Barn are not there and available, and that was her point.
Right, so the only thing I'm here to say is that because I noticed that in that quarterly report, that if the council or if the village takes an action on that to satisfy the tenant, then, and if we mark that, okay, these 12 spots are only for them, then they should only get those 12 spots. Because the other spots should be marked as not for Health Barn, and they should not be allowed in Graydon, or they should not be getting more than what they are paying rent for.
Right, so it kind of makes sense, because we're going to designate 12 spaces specific to Health Barn, then the other spaces should be designated for other purposes, I guess is what's being
So we didn't
suggested.
purposely mark them as Health Barn, because Health Barn doesn't use them all the time, so therefore other people can use them.
Right, okay.
So that's the reason we didn't
Right,
designate
okay.
it, because we're looking at all those spots as fungible spots. You know, anybody could
But they are
park them.
complaining in the lease, so it's, they have put that in writing that they are
So
not happy.
why don't we just have a conversation about this and figure out how that would work out? Thank you, Sarab. Any other comments from the public? Okay, with that, we'll go to the manager's report. Roberta?
Okay, thanks. Okay, so I guess you may have noticed that West Glen and the train underpass is now open at the intersection of Oak Street. So they were done a couple of days ahead of schedule. We were a little surprised about that, because I think last week I said we were concerned about their time frames. So this eases some of the congestion, but we still do admittedly have congestion because of the detours. The current detour is shorter as PSE&G continues to work on Glen between Maple and Oak, but Oak is now accessible, which it wasn't before. There'll be one more big detour, right, Jay? One more big detour in August for about 2 weeks. With this, we're working with PSE&G again on the E part of PSE&G, not the G part. This is the G part, the gas part, for work that's scheduled on North and South Broad Street in August after the gas detour is finished. So we don't think that there's going to be a major impact on North Broad. We're working out the impact on South Broad, and we'll talk to the businesses, et cetera. Okay. Just a water update. In terms of usage, we are seeing a improvement, which is good. Between watering and non-watering days, we're seeing an improvement of about 5 million gallons per day. Good news. If the differential continues and the watering days don't peak any higher, we should be able to sustain stage 2 unless we get into really bad drought conditions. So this is good news. The number of summonses is now over 150 summonses. As I said last week, we have people going out early in the morning on the days where no one is supposed to be watering. Last week, we talked about the Consumer Confidence Report a bit. So we do have 2 public forums coming up. One is Wednesday, July 27th at 9 a.m. in the courtroom. The second is Tuesday, August 2nd. The invitation was mailed mailed today to every household. It's posted on both the village website, the water website. There'll be an e-notice going out tomorrow, and we also sent these to other towns. Okay, so we have the 2 water forums coming up, mainly to discuss the consumer confidence report and the numbers in it. Okay, very open. Okay, parking, just a parking update. I just want to give you a little update on repeat parking, because I know this is a hot topic these days. And we've had some internal meetings as well. We really beefed up the repeat parking process starting in March. And in March, we did issue about 105 tickets for repeat parking. In April, it went to 125. In May, it was 144, and in June, it was 142. So we are issuing more tickets, and we do find that we have some offenders that have gotten like 22 tickets on the same license plate, a couple. So we took this, we have a meeting that Bob Rooney runs every couple of weeks. It's a meeting on parking. It's an internal meeting. And we talked a little bit about this, and I think we're going to be coming to the council, so maybe you guys can think about this, suggesting that we raise the fees on repeat parking tickets. And we're actually suggesting that, and we'll think about this some more before August, but we're thinking about changing the fee to $50 for first offense. Once you hit 5 offenses, we're talking about going up to $75, and once you hit 10 or 11 offenses, we're talking about $100. We'll bring that to the council. We'll have a discussion. I think, Ramon has said to me that he thinks this is the biggest issue in the CBD, that it could free up hundreds of spots. And I, thinking about how we can enforce this, with a couple of license plates that have like 20-plus tickets, $19, which we were going to raise anyhow to $25, if you recall, and we put that on hold earlier in the year. This is one of the suggestions that we have. The other suggestion is that Sergeant Chuck, who's back there, is going to be doing more. We're adding either a person or we're adding one person and overtime hours to do some more repeat parking enforcement over the next couple of weeks. And we'll see what that garners and how many people, what the size of the problem really is.
So, Roberta, a question for you. The people who are in those repeat spots are people who own the businesses, is that right?
I don't know the answer to that question. I'm not sure if they own the businesses or they're the employees that work in the businesses. It seems like we have, I think the PEOs feel that we generally have a problem with the salons.
Yeah. So
that seems to be the issue, I think.
Just as part of that solution, not only raising the prices, but maybe if we can figure out a place that they can park their car.
Well, currently, so currently we have Cottage Place, which has 8-hour parking.
Yeah.
It's, as we know, not used, and there's, the folks have been known to say that they don't want to walk that far. So
how do we encourage those people without...
Well, so, and here's the other issue. I mean, I hate to put it this bluntly, but some folks are actually taking the chalk off their tires in front of the PEOs and saying, we're just taking the chalk off our tires, which really is interference with administration of justice, just as an aside. And, we started talking about that, too. Blatantly, right, Jay? I mean, so... But, we took to heart the fact that Ramon said that we could pick, he thinks that we have the ability of really picking up a lot of spots in the downtown. So what I'm saying is we might want to ratchet up the enforcement a bit more.
One way to look at it, yeah. The other way to look at it is...
Again, we'll bring it to the August 3rd work session, and it gives us time to kind of think through this a little bit more. Yep. We don't have to do that. But I think by adding the shifts that we're adding now, I think we'll have a better idea from a metric standpoint what we're really talking about as far as repeat parking. Is it 100 spots? Is it 200? Is it 80? Is it? I just don't know. I mean, our guys don't seem to think it's 200 to 300, but thinking about it and having real metrics is two different, things.
Yeah, I was actually in Glen Rock earlier today, and I was walking by several businesses, and I saw signs that said, employee parking only, customer parking only, employees must park in municipal lots. I think if we're forcing the merchants to park in these municipal lots, you drive through downtown, there's 94 spots on East Ridgewood Avenue. There's 171 spots in Cottage. that lot is half empty throughout the day.
Sure.
So I think there's an algebra involved here, and it's, and when I saw there was an article that was forwarded to me recently about one of the employees in the CBD just praising the Park Mobile app because it's very convenient. Now you don't have to go out and feed the meter two or three times a day. So I think it's a problem. I think it's something that we need to, I think enforcement goes a long way. I think that there has to be, other than the old way of chalking the tires, we do have the license plate reader. Is there a way that we can kind of combine the two? The Park Mobile app tells you which license plates actually are paying for an active spot, and this license plate reader to tell us who's not on that list of active spots. So,
Well, actually, it's much easier using Park Mobile to pick up repeat parking than it is with the chalking of the tires, right? So we do use Park Mobile to do that. We have two LPRs, but they're not really hooked up from an automated standpoint to anything. And so we need to look at that. But that was a pretty expensive proposition last year when we were talking about capital, and we thought we needed to get really involved with the Park Mobile application, kind of figure out what we really wanted to do before we spent capital money on doing a whole LPR scenario.
yeah, because I think, moving towards any, if we're talking about putting a parking deck on Hudson Street, the second we put a shovel in the ground, we lose 106 spots, whatever they are, on day one. We're losing 70 in Brogan right now. The fences are up. So where are those 170 spots going to go if we're going to move towards building a garage? So I think it's important to, we have to clear sort of, let the dust settle to see where we really stand.
Mm-hmm. So that's just some preliminary thoughts that the team had. So I just wanted to...
Yeah, just real quick, how long does somebody have to pay a parking ticket? If somebody has that many parking tickets, isn't like a 30-day window? Is there like a limit on, you can't just like sit and not pay your parking ticket, right? How many days do you have to pay that?
There's no, go ahead, Jay. There's no required time period within that. And otherwise, the municipal court will notify the state, and the state will take action against your license and your driving privileges. So that really is the ramification, the one enforcement tool that the municipality has that has to go through the State Motor Vehicle Commission.
And it's only 3 license plates I'm not talking about a whole ton of people that have these multiple violations. I'm talking about...
No, it doesn't matter if it's 1 or 100. It just is kind of, I was just curious what the window of opportunity was to pay. But interesting. Okay, thanks.
The other 2 parking updates I have, Route 17 Park and Ride. We have worked on this. Bob has spent a lot of time on this, actually. We've planted 25 new trees to help the residents around that area so that they don't see too much of the lot. We use the trust fund at the state level to do that. We put money into trust because we run that facility for them. And we're looking at, as I said a couple of months ago, we're also looking at seeing if we could use that fund to add some more spots to that park and ride, because we did a little analysis that said that we could do that by using Park Mobile only. The last update on parking is that I think last week we made a decision to do at least a preliminary assessment of replacing parallel parking with angled parking and switching from 2-way streets to 1-way streets. So Chris will be doing kind of a high-level feasibility, updating his 2006 high-level report, and he'll be working on that in the next week or so. And I'm hoping we have, unless other priorities get in the way, I'm hoping we'll have that for the work session in August.
What's the pricing at the Route 17 lot?
It is...
Per day, do you know?
It is, I used to know. Does the parking utility director know? I'm trying, I don't, oh no, you know what it is? I know what it is. It's the RPPs.
Right, that's what I thought it was.
It's RPPs, and it's 50 cents an hour. Yeah, I'm
50 cents
sorry.
an hour.
I just had a...
Okay, so 10 hours, okay.
That's
$5.
50 cents hourly. It's hourly meters, or you could have a parking permit,
Okay, yeah.
like the ones you would use in the,
And the permits are, how much do they go for?
The permits are $750 a year. And then scaled down, it gets prorated. So if you're in the middle of the year, it's half of that. If you're 3/4 through the year. Right. And we worked the math out, and it's cheaper to have the permits than pay the hourly, because I see him doing math on the thing there. And we did work that out. Okay, just want to close the loop on a discussion from last week. We had pulled at the last minute a potential outsourcing of the Lakeview compost facility. So we had pulled it last week because we had just gotten the award or the proposals back from the two vendors. So this is looking to outsource the management of that home mulching facility, with or without using our own equipment. The reason we went and did this primarily was because we have two pieces of equipment there, a scarab and a tub grinder, and they're both kind of getting towards the end of their lives. And the capital investment would be north of $1 million for those two pieces of equipment. So we said, like, what would happen if we outsourced this and maybe have them use their own equipment and stuff? The bids came in higher than we anticipated, and that's one of the reasons we pulled it last week. They came in over $500,000. Rich and his team looked at the expense of running it today, including adding an expense of capital and the debt we would have to pay on that. And that comes out to about $391,000, $400,000. So right now, it would appear that the outsourcing would cost us more. So we're rejecting these bids. We're going out again. We had a couple of ideas on how to refine some of the parameters in the bid. The one thing I will tell you that is it's a good exercise in our understanding, whether or not to outsource, how much it's costing us to run our own facilities. And the thought that we had is we will get potentially the FAC involved in taking a look at the comparisons between the two. So,
yeah. So I mean, the budget you have for that facility is about, at least when I looked at it last week, was about $350,000 or so, and the bid that you, I guess, came in was probably in the order of $500,000.
The bid was one was 509 and one was 550 or something like that.
So obviously we're trying to get close to where it is from a budgetary standpoint in this year's budget. Is that correct?
It's a play between capital and expense, because what we're saying.
I understand.
Okay.
Yeah, I understand.
So the budget doesn't reflect now a $1 million bond that we would have to take out to pay for those two pieces of equipment.
I understand. Yep.
And the budget doesn't necessarily reflect fully loaded costs on the people, which we built back in. So altogether, that came out to about 400.
Okay.
First year. Okay. So more to come on that. We'll be back with that. Clearly, we're not going to have it done for this leaf season at this point. So, we'd be looking forward into 2017. As I reported last week, we received the first quarterly report from Health Barn. We actually asked that Health Barn add the investment expenditures into that report. That report did not require that to be there. We thought it would be good from a transparency point of view. The import of that number, just to be clear with everyone, is that Healthborn would have to invest $50,000 to be able to extend their lease from a Green Acres standpoint for a year. We use Green Acres money to buy that park, and as a result, we're under Green Acres standards. When we negotiated the lease, we took the $50,000 and said Healthborn, had to do $60,000. All right, so that's why the lease is higher than the Green Acres requirement. And the lease and the Green Acres requirement doesn't even suggest that she needs to do it in the next 3 months. She has 18 months in the lease, which would bring us to, I guess, September of 2017. Okay, so that's the import of the capital investment. So I gave Susan earlier tonight, I'm going to call it preliminary, not yet completed, back up to about $65,000 worth of activity that has gone on there, a lot of which, if not all of which, would be considered capital. There's some stuff in there that is iffy, but again, there's no requirement to do this, and we probably won't be seeing another one of these reports until she's finished.
Yeah, I know there was some emails going back and forth on this particular issue.
Yes.
I mean, can you put that information on the website so people can take a look at it? Is that doable? So it stops the back and forth.
You mean put the backup?
Yeah.
The issue, I want to talk to Matt about this, and Susan and I had this conversation. There's some like credit card statements in there that we've redacted a lot of information, but I just want to make sure we're.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's no real requirement on her on Health Board to necessarily do that. But response to residents, meet the manager, Monday, July 25th, 5:30 to 7:30, summer hours, better in the evenings than perhaps on the weekends when people are away. Events, Cash Shell, 8:30 this Thursday. Hazardous waste collection, household, BC Utilities is doing that. Saturday, July 23rd from 9 to 3 at Camp Gaw. Oh, the Great Ducky Derby at Graden Pool will take place Saturday, July 23rd from noon to 4. Great Family Day. Farmers Market continues on Sundays. The Guild Movie in the Park, July 27th at 9, Raiders of the Lost Ark. And just want to point out two things. Based on the current environment, police officers will now be wearing noticeably heavier protective vests for their safety. You'll see, and it'll be noticeable, so I just want to point that out. It's just a precaution that many police departments are taking across the nation, unfortunately. I also just want to welcome Bud Jones here from Nisavocia. He's our lead partner, and he's here as if there are any questions on the annual audit or the action plan. So he's attended. And that's my manager's report.
Just a quick question on Ducky Derby.
Yes.
How well attended is that? Is that pretty well attended?
Yes.
It's a pretty popular event?
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
What, are you thinking of?
I'm thinking of more stuff like that for Graden Pool to kind of promote
Okay.
it, the heck out of it. So if Ducky Derby's along the lines of that.
Does anybody remember how many people we had last year? How many people we had at Ducky? Uh-huh. Okay.
Yeah, good. Thanks.
You're welcome.
So you're welcome to join us at the Duck Derby. Okay, so with that, we'll move on to council reports, and we'll start with Councilman Voigt.
I don't have anything to report, I'm sorry, any of the meetings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Deputy Mayor Seaton?
Thank you, Mayor. Don't feel bad, Jeff. I also don't have anything to report this week. It kind of slows down in the summer, so.
Bernadette?
So I can report on citizen safety, and I'm happy to say that I got a nice warm welcome from the group. I had served for 2 years on citizen safety, so a lot of the members are still on there. Surprisingly, a lot of the things on the agenda were still there too. So, I felt like I didn't really miss a beat. So, so a couple of things came up. One that, again, had been there for several years, kind of an ongoing issue with a property along West Ridgewood Avenue that has a cut through to a street behind it. And the police department, the Citizen Safety Committee, and the neighbors are all trying to work to a reasonable solution with parking, with striping, with I offered to talk to the property owner to see if we can do some things. Their original site plan has been changed, unbeknownst to the village. So to really just try to mend the fence a little bit, I'm going to reach out to them and see if they will make some changes so that we don't have to take it any further. Talking about the schools, getting ready, believe it or not, for the schools already with crossing guards. A lot of the individuals there didn't know about the new crossing guard program. So that was talked about a little bit. And, kind of ongoing signage, making sure signs are still there. I know we've had some missing signs, and actually I think it was on the news this evening, because my sister saw it on the news, about missing signs. So, again, these are things that are kind of a continual event for us, but we're hoping that we'll make some progress. So it was a nice meeting, and I'm glad to be back there.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Hushay?
Nothing to report from the committees or the board, so.
Okay, so that just leaves me. I have a couple of items. I never really do this, but I'm going to read it from my phone. So I attended Thursday evening's Access meeting, which was enthusiastically attended by many. And the next meeting for Access will be August 18th, which is a Thursday, 7:30, and they meet in the community center downstairs. Also, they're planning a very exciting Access Weekend event on starting October 8th is the young adult dance in the Village Hall, first floor. And October 14th, 15th, 16th are family events, senior events, school events, fashion show, talent show, information, food, open air court, and interfaith service. So it's really, they're planning a very big weekend. And also, I learned that at the Bethlehem Lutheran Church, there's a Wednesday night pickup game that Access supports, and adults over the age of 21 can attend, men and women, and they just have a really impromptu pickup basketball game, and it's really fun for our community. The other thing I have is Planning Board met Tuesday evening, last night actually, and on that we went over our master plan action items, so we'll be aggressively working to attend to the, I think, close to 180 action items, some of which are actually going to come to this village council because they're simply housekeeping. Also, the multifamily housing site plan applications have completed their finished their completeness review. And the first one, we decided the best way to do this in a timeliness manner, because it's important we go on a clock for this, is to do the 4 applications, each begin them on different nights. And so the first one, and then just rotate them as we move forward through those site plan hearings. And so the first one is scheduled for August 16th, and again, that's for the first multifamily housing site plan hearing. Also, HPC met Thursday evening, just 2 small applications. It's good to note that the history of Ridgewood is well preserved at the HPC. And with that, that's my report, and we will continue from there with our ordinances. So the first ordinance we have on is the introduction of ordinance 3540 to amend Chapter 190, Land Use Development Regulations for Political Signs and Temporary Signs. It establishes regulations for political signs and temporary signs in all districts, including where these signs cannot be placed and requiring times for removal of the signs. I move the first reading of ordinance 3540.
I second.
Yes.
Seaton.
Yes.
Voigt.
Yes.
Walsh. Yes.
And Newton.
Yes. So ordered. Will the clerk please read ordinance 3540 by title?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 190, Section 122 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood entitled Signs.
I move that ordinance 3540 be adopted on first reading and that August 10th, 2016 be fixed as the date for the hearing thereon.
I second the motion.
Hache.
Yes.
Seaton.
Yes.
Voigt.
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
And Newton.
Yes. Our next ordinance introduction of 3541 repeals ordinance 3066, and I move the first reading of ordinance 3541.
I second.
Hache.
Yes.
Seaton.
Yes.
Voigt.
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
And Newton.
Yes. So ordered. Will the clerk please read ordinance 3541 by title?
An ordinance of the Village of Ridgewood amending Chapter 145, Fees, and Chapter 190, Section 143 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood, entitled Land Use and Development, by repealing ordinance number 3066.
I move that ordinance 3541 be adopted on first reading and that August 10th, 2016 be fixed as the date for the hearing thereon.
I second the motion.
Hache.
Yes.
Seaton.
Yes.
Voigt.
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
And Newton.
Yes. Okay.
We now go on to resolutions. The following resolutions, numbers 16-201 through 16-228, are to be adopted by a consent agenda with 1 vote by the Village Council. They will be read by title only. Award contract under state contract, bulletproof vests for the police department. Award contract under state contract, portable radios, parking enforcement officers. Award contract under state contract, 4 Ford Police Interceptor SUVs. Award contracts under state contracts, 4 video recording systems, UHF radios, and computers for police SUVs. Award contract under state contract, Chevy Tahoe SUV for the fire department. Award contract under state contract, telephone system upgrades. Award contract, striping of police SUVs. Title 59 approval, telephone system maintenance and emergency troubleshooting service. Award contract, telephone system maintenance and emergency troubleshooting service, various rates. Title 59 approval, snow plowing services. Award contract, snow plowing services, various rates. Award contract to sole source provider. radar system for police vehicles. Award professional services contract, engineering services, out-of-service well rehabilitation study for Ridgewood Water. Award professional services contract, professional engineering services for design of ultraviolet disinfection system for water pollution control facility effluent. Award contract, final additional award, emergency and routine servicing and repair of electric source. Reject bid, furnishing and delivering of orthopolyphosphate. Reject bids, property maintenance services. Authorized shared services agreement, purchase of bulk water with Hawthorne. Authorized refund of excess application fees, 257 East Ridgewood Avenue, LLC. Authorized release of bond for Clear Wireless, 45 North Broad Street. Accept 2015 annual audit report. Accept 2015 corrective action plan. Increase petty cash fund for Fleet Services Division. Authorize tax collector to charge for mailing of tax sale notes. Authorize encroachment agreement for 51 North Broad Street. Revise and supersede resolution number 16137, waiver of regulations for A-frame signs in the Central Business District. Establish Central Business District Advisory Committee and appoint alternate public defender. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Hache?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
Voigt?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Newton.
Yes.
So now we just have one resolution left, which is the appointment of the bond counsel, which I will read in full. Whereas the Village of Ridgewood has a need to acquire the professional services of a bond counsel to provide specialized legal services in connection with the authorization and the issuance of bonds or notes of the Village of Ridgewood in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, including the review of such procedures and the rendering of approving legal opinions acceptable to the financial community as a non-fair and open contract pursuant to the provisions of NJSA 19:44A-20.4. And where such special legal services can be provided only by a recognized bond counsel firm, and the law firm of McManaman, Scotland and Bauman, LLC, 75 Livingston Avenue, 2nd floor, Roseland, New Jersey, is so recognized by the financial community. And whereas the Chief Financial Officer has determined and certified in writing the value of the professional service will exceed $17,500. And whereas the anticipated term of this contract is from July 1st, 2016 through June 30th, 2017. And whereas McManaman, Scotland and Bauman, LLC has submitted a proposal indicating that they will provide the professional services of Village Bond Counsel for the Village of Ridgewood in an amount not to exceed $35,000. And whereas McManaman, Scotland, LLC and Bauman, LLC has submitted business entity disclosure certifications which certify that McManaman, Scotland and Bauman, LLC has not made any reportable contributions to a political or candidate committee in the Village of Ridgewood in the previous 1 year, and that the contract will prohibit McManaman, Scotland and Bauman, LLC from making any reportable contributions through the term of the contract. Now therefore be it resolved that the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood authorize and directs the mayor and village clerk to enter into and execute a contract with McManaman, Scotland and Bauman, LLC, and that a notice of this action shall be printed once in the Ridgewood News pursuant to the local public contracts law as set forth in NJSA 48:11-1 at sec. And be further resolved that the Chief Financial Officer has certified that funds are available for 2016 services as noted in the certification and contingent upon the Village Council appropriating such in the temporary budget for the year 2017 and subsequently adopting a 2017 budget to fund the full amount of the contract as it applies to 2017 services. And be it finally resolved that the business disclosure entity certification and the determination of value be placed on file with this resolution. May I have a motion?
I move.
Second.
Okay, hold on. Any discussion? Okay. Hache?
Yes.
Seaton?
No, I'm voting no on this, and the reason is I think there was a pretty big conflict when they got involved with giving legal advice about the binding referendum question. It seems that if the question passed, they were going to make a pretty nice fee off of issuing $11.5 million of bonds, and it failed, so there's no fee. So to me, that concerns me, and that's why I'm voting no.
Voigt?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Newton?
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Heather. And with that, we'll go back to comments from the public. Once again, not to exceed 5 minutes per person.
Saurabh Dani, 390 Bedford Road, Ridgewood. Good evening again, Mayor and Council. I just wanted to comment on one of the discussions that happened during this meeting today about health barns, $60,000 capital investment, and the need. The village manager mentioned that they are not required to disclose that information until 18 months, and this is not as part of their lease. But I think the point is that it was mentioned in last week's meeting by the village manager that they have spent $60,000 on capital improvement. So if we are being told, residents are being told that something has happened, then we need backup of that. Otherwise, that statement was not required in that meeting. That statement does not hold any value. And the second point on that is, for the capital improvements, their permits are only for $43,245. So if you look at the SDL portal for the permits and the things that they have listed, they have listed change lights on all first floor as part of one of their list of the items, but the permit is for 200 amp circuit, not for. So if they just change light bulbs, I hope they are not counting that as capital improvement. And if they change the light fixtures or there's something major, then they should have taken permit for that. So if they are saying that they have done 60,000 worth of capital improvement, did they take permits for that? The permits are only for 43,245. So it's a question of transparency, and it's a question of the reconciliation of what they are taking permit and what they are listing as what they have done. That's the question. Like if they put that dog water station, that's not a capital improvement. If they change light bulbs, that's not capital improvement. Thank you.
Could we ask Matt what would be defined as a capital improvement in that lease?
It's actually defined in the lease.
The capital improvements are defined in the lease?
Yeah, they're in Appendix C, I think, in the lease. I think I pointed that out in one of my, so there's a list. Green Acres sees a list. Things like, appliances like stove and refrigerator and stuff would not be part of a permit, but they're part of capital because they're more than 5 years, they last more than 5 years. But there is a list, there's a preliminary list in the lease of the basic ones, I'd say.
And just to add to that,
I'm sorry.
that's right, the improvements that were going to be required to meet that $60,000 threshold are improvements that are going to be looked at and reviewed by Green Acres. So they're the ones who really set the parameters of what work needs to be done, the cost of which would be reviewed, and they'll determine whether or not they've met that threshold. So.
Yeah. And Green Acres, I think I mentioned the threshold is actually 50. We raised the threshold in our lease negotiations, but the threshold from Green Acres is 50.
That's true.
So could that be made public, though? I mean, I guess Green Acres determines what's capital and what's not, and so would they have some kind of a report form that we could put on the website?
Yeah, they'll have some type of, I don't know what kind of a report they'll issue. In fact, we asked them, and they say they don't issue many reports, but they'll certainly provide a decision as to whether or not that threshold has been met, whether it comes in a formal report or some type of an email or something like that. We don't know yet, but I'm sure we could find out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my comment was that really the quarterly report never defined this as a section. I decided, mainly me, I decided that, wow, why don't we list what has happened? As a result, this discussion has come up. It was in the interest of transparency that we did that.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
And so after Susan takes a look at the list, I review it with Matt.
Okay.
Just want to make sure that we're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my thought is that it was, when it came up, I felt, in fairness, it was a really legitimate question. If we announce that there's X amount of dollars in capital improvements, and then a resident states or poses the question, well, exactly what does that mean, and where is that money, and what are the improvements? It's truly a legitimate question. So I have as Roberta indicated earlier, I have all the documents, and I'm going to review them, and I think it's possible that we could even just generate some kind of report, but we'll work on that and figure it out, so that information will be available. Any other comments?
Good evening, Ann Loving, 342 South Irving Street. I'd like to thank the Deputy Mayor for voting against rehiring that bond counsel. If I understand the sequence of events correctly, a video was put on our village paid-for website that promoted a particular vote on the parking referendum, and then that was questioned, and it was removed from the website, and then it was this very bond counsel who said, this is the way I understand it, said it would be okay, that nothing had been violated, and it could go back on the website. Then a formal ethics violation complaint was filed against our former mayor and our current village manager by, I think it was submitted to the local finance board regarding that. So I think that this bond counsel is tainted. I mean, that ethics complaint is still out there. I don't know where that's going. And I appreciate the deputy mayor for voting against that. I think we should get somebody else for this. Thank you.
Well, that's who filed it, the Libertarian Party. She said the complaint went to.
Good evening, Boyd Loving, 342 South Irving Street. Two items about parking. I mentioned last week that I was somewhat disappointed that the previous council never discussed incentivizing having some of these developers put public parking in their buildings. Councilman Hache mentioned tonight that there's a fence around Brogan. I see that there's still parking there, though. I guess the fence is put up in anticipation of construction starting soon. It may not be too late to go to Ned Canselmo and speak to him and see if he might want to change his plans and put some sort of public parking there. I believe you can give him some sort of tax abatement. Don't know what else could be done. And the same thing holds true for, I guess, Ken Smith. So please remember, particularly those of you who serve on the planning board, that this might be a tactic that might work, is to talk to people about changing their plans. It sounds to me like a great deal. We save some capital, and they get a tax abatement or something else, and public parking is provided. So please remember that. The other thing I want to mention about parking, and I'm getting older, so I'm now starting to visit doctors a little bit more frequently than I have in the past, is that I've noticed that some of these medical buildings I go to don't have enough parking. And when you were talking about the parking on Pomanda Walk, and they were talking about the strip mall and how much parking had been allotted by the Board of Adjustment for the strip mall, and the use of the strip mall has changed, I'm wondering if we need to develop new standards for how many parking spaces need to be provided at a building. If you've gone to 1200 East Ridgewood Avenue recently, you know that they have valet parking back there now because they cannot fit all the cars in that building. I've also had occasion to visit a medical practice that's up on Goffel Road next to the old Hess station, and the same thing. People are parking on the street because there's not enough parking in the building. So perhaps this is something else for the Planning Board and the Board of Adjustment to consider, that whatever formula they're using to determine the required number of parking spaces just isn't working anymore. As evidenced by what's happening over on Pomanda Walk with that strip mall, and by what I see at many medical office buildings in town, where you've got valet parking or people are parking on the street because there's just not enough spaces. So I think we need to take a close look and see if we're underestimating the amount of parking. I did not have an email with respect to the $60,000 capital investment at Health Barn, but I will say that I agree with Mr. Donnie. If it's mentioned here, and there was also a posting on a taxpayer-paid-for website, there was a posting there about it. If a number is mentioned, I believe that the public has a right to ask for backup for that number. Whether she's required to provide it or not, it was mentioned twice. So let's not say, well, she's not required to provide it. If she's not required to provide it, it should have never been mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public?
Jacqueline Hone, 30 Carriage Lane. I just wanted to add to my comment earlier about the complaint that I filed, just to be clear, because I didn't understand a little bit. So obviously I'm coming again because I don't want my complaint to once again just be looked at. I do understand that we first have to establish what the procedure is, if one even exists. If if I have that incorrect, please let me know. And then from that forward, then the matter will be looked into either way, correct?
Yes.
Okay, all the allegations. So
Yes.
should we submit the list of that to also include the things that transpired after the initial complaint from October to present?
Why don't you email everything you have, and I would suggest emailing it to a full council so everyone's brought up to speed on exactly what you're talking about. Does that
Okay.
help? That make sense?
Right, so the ethics violations that currently exist, would that be
The one with
also
the-
something in pertaining to the video?
So, no, but you're talking about the Shedler issue, right?
No, the Shedler issue is what started everything. Then after that has transpired
So
a
you
ton
just
of
want to
things.
bundle everything, in other words, and
Correct.
put it all out there. It's fine. Send it all.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public? Okay. None. We'll have a resolution to go into closed session, please.
Be resolved by the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood that the Village Council meet in closed session on July 20th, 2016, at 8:00 p.m. or soon thereafter, as a matter on the agenda can be reached. And this day, closed session be held in the caucus room of the Ridgewood Village Hall, 131 North Maple Avenue, Ridgewood, New Jersey. Be further resolved that the matters to be discussed in closed session are limited to legal matters to include village taxi and an update on CBR negotiations. These matters are allowable under NJSA 10:4-12 at SEC. And be it further resolved that the minutes of this meeting shall be made available to the general public when such matters have been deemed completed by resolution of the Village Council. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
So my issue